The Pacific Coast Highway, from Los Angeles to Vancouver. Arguably the greatest motorcycle road trip the United States has to offer, and has been sitting on my bucket list for the past 13 years. Since opportunity and adventure are taking my wife and I back to the Midwest, I can think of no better way to pay tribute to the West Coast as we say goodbye to the friends we leave behind. Today on Open Roads, I feed a squirrel, Michael feeds some raccoons, and radio almost feeds the sharks off the coast of Monterey.
The morning of day 3. It is now 10:10 in the morning. I've been up for 2.5 hours, but I'm discovering that my travel companions are not morning people. There's some awesome squirrels around here somewhere. When you're in a campsite like this, they get really friendly. He was definitely interested in what I was doing as I was taking my stuff out of my tent. He walked right up, probably 6 inches from my feet, and just kind of looked up at me like, "Hey, you need some food?" As you can see, we are camped by this awesome river. Apparently there's a 300-foot waterfall up there, a little ways that I might, if they're not up by the time I'm done packing up, I may just go on the hike and do that. This is Rob. Rob, you're in the Navy, correct?
Yeah.
One of the things that we've been doing, kind of videotaping people talking about like their bucket list items and whether or not they've done them or if they plan to do them and why not, because this is kind of a bucket list trip for me.
This right here was part of my my bucket list, facilitating getting out with a kid and a wife. We're going to go all the way up and down, and then we're going to go through Arizona and Vegas, see the Grand Canyon, Sedona.
Okay. Have you been to the Grand Canyon before?
I have not been to the Grand Canyon. Really looking forward to it.
Yeah, it's pretty cool. We talked to a guy yesterday, Randy, who was a fellow motorcycle rider, and he wants to take like 3 months and tour all of North America on a motorcycle. And he's just like, time's the only thing that's keeping me from doing it right now.
One of our friends, he was a motorcycle rider, and he rode his Harley all the way up through, Thailand, Vietnam, Malaysia, China.
Wow.
Down.
Wow.
So
That'd be pretty cool.
all by himself.
Just him and his bike. Yeah, have you guys ever seen, I'm gonna plug Long Way Around, Ewan McGregor and Charlie Bowman.
No, I haven't seen it.
If you're into like travel documentaries or anything like that, they went London to New York, but they went east on 2 motorcycles the whole way. And it's like a 10-part series. It's kind of the inspiration I got for documenting this trip. Thanks for talking to us.
Say bye. Bye-bye. Wave bye-bye.
Bye-bye. After the short hike to the falls and a pleasant chat with Navy Rob, I filled up our water bottles while the rest of the gang packed for the road.
We went to Yosemite for our 5th anniversary with my wife. We did the Half Dome hike, and about 3/4 of the way up, there were people coming down who hadn't brought enough water, and we had stopped. There was like a little, almost like a spring. It wasn't very big. It was maybe 3 feet by, 1.5 feet, if that. And we stopped to get water using this. And after about 5 minutes, we had a line of like 6 or 7 people waiting for us to fill up their water bottles because they were all dehydrated and they still had to go the 8 or 13 miles or whatever it is back down the mountain.
So the moral of the story is buy the $60 pump and start charging people halfway
Right.
down Half Dome for water.
Yeah, we probably could have made a pretty penny.
So, Radio, what mission are you on right now?
That tomato, it's out of place. And so I'm gonna jump the creek.
Woo! That was way too much build-up for that.
I know, it wasn't what I wanted to do though. I had to edit on the fly.
Radio has made it to the tomato.
Yeah! Free! Be free, tomato!
Don't think of me as saving the tomato. Think of it as
Liberating?
liberating the tomato.
Yeah, that's where it becomes pretty interesting running into you last night, you know, because here you are on this kind of like a docudrama project, you know, and you're out to live a little. And I'm kind of out on my own sabbatical too, you know. Took a unknown path, you know, my life went through some crazy changes and I had to adapt to it. But I think the most amazing thing of it is the need to live becomes a little more present as the days go by.
Yeah.
And I find it in some of the simplest ways. You know?
Yeah.
That's what I noticed with you guys out here, you know, just enjoying life.
Yeah.
Yeah, I remember you talking about, you mind us bringing it up, yesterday when we first met you, you did this really profound statement, because you said you'd gone through a divorce, and you had said, and it was that happening, you said, it felt like that was the end of my life, and then after a span of time, you realized it was the beginning.
Really, because I think a lot of people cross their own deserts, you know, just like Moses. It's a way of life, you know, and you have to go through your desert in order to find the other side. You know, I don't know the backstory on your travels, but I think it's quite unique. You know, and for me, simplicity is becoming the most valuable thing. You know, we all live in a rat race. I mean, my God, we're all here in California.
Yeah.
You know, it don't get no faster than that, but it's live life. Life lives.
Yeah.
Yeah, and so you have a background in TV production, documentary,
television, music
ironically,
videos.
and the camp right next to us.
Right.
You know, like literally put right next to each other, and then you work on a drill rig.
Yeah.
Like, so you said you do 30 days on, 14 off, or
Yeah.
what was it?
Yep, 30 on, 14 off. You know, and that's strange for me because I've got a unique tool chest of skills that allow me to survive. I think we all do.
Yeah.
You know, but I had to take a break from production because I loved it so much that if I'd have tried to push through in the production world while juggling the collapsing of my personal world, divorce and everything else, I would have fallen out of love.
Yeah.
It would have just spiraled. So I took a couple of years off and I still haven't really made any key decision to return. But when I do, I'll be fully intact.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, I like that.
I think
Fully
a lot of
intact.
people. I think a lot of people are afraid to take that leap. Like to be like, hold on a second.
I was pushed.
But I mean, you know, sometimes people get pushed and they fall, and sometimes people get pushed and they jump. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And it sounds like you got pushed and you jumped
Yeah.
instead of falling. You know, and I think there's a big distinction between that. You know, it's how you kind of look at life. You know, life comes up to you and kicks you in the ass, and you know,
It
either you
forces
get knocked
change.
down or
Nature autocorrects.
Yeah.
And the thing of it is in my own opinion, I'd gotten way too comfortable with my old life. I was very, very well set in repetitiveness. And here we are, you know, 2015, 3 years later almost, and repetitiveness is out the door.
Yeah.
The old me would never take the time to go out and enjoy life because I was too busy racing through it.
So where are you headed to now? Where's the next stop?
I'm headed back to Kalinga, California to gear up to head back out to the drill rig.
Okay.
I'll do my next 30 days, and when I'm done with that, I'll be back out here playing again.
Okay. So how long were you guys at this site?
We were only here yesterday. We
Okay.
showed up around 4 o'clock.
Okay.
Okay.
So you guys showed up at 4. Rob, who we talked to earlier, showed up at 6, and we showed up at 7 right afterwards.
Yeah. So I'm glad that for whatever reason we all crossed paths.
Yeah. It was cloudy overcast on the way to Lime Kiln, but we had a beautiful day when we were leaving Lime Kiln going to Monterey. Check that out.
This is freaking cool. This thing is awesome. That's badass. Was that the moment where you decided to just take off at one moment? You passed me, and we passed some cars because there was a lineup and people didn't want to get in the turnout.
Yeah, there are some people who just don't know.
You were in Big Sur on June 1st, and you were driving a bronze minivan, and you're from Oregon. You need to learn to pull on the turnout when somebody is behind you.
And you can't, and no one can defend them and say, oh, what's not their fault? They're not from California. There are interstate travel rules. You just get over it.
And they're from Oregon. Oregon has a beautiful coastline as well, so it's not like this is the first time they've probably ever driven the coastline.
Oh, that's so weird. I thought they were like, I pictured them, when I said Oregon, I'm like, go back to the Midwest. I'm an idiot. That must be like a very popular strip too. Like classic cars, tons of motorcycles, tons of bicyclists.
That's intense. I can't even imagine trying to ride a bicycle over these passes.
Tons of hobos.
Yeah.
You almost met one.
Mid-turn at about 45 miles an hour.
Yeah, some guy.
It was a kind of a blind corner, but he was walking on the edge of the road, but
and I was maintaining the line
on the shoulder. He was on the road because the cliff was right on the other side.
Yeah, it caught you off guard. I almost rode right up his ass.
Look at that. Woo-hoo.
That was a beautiful ride.
Yeah.
The sun was out, lots of great coastline.
Yeah, you have to be careful when you're making that drive sometimes because you could get enamored with the view and forget that there's curves ahead.
Because we're on a schedule, we're not able to enjoy the views as much as you'd like, but there's plenty of spots if you're taking a casual ride to pull over and just soak it all up.
Yep. What a beautiful day. One of the things about this place is the views are incredible, whether you're going north or south. Fortunately, I've been able to do it both. Bigsby Bridge, 1932, historic bridge. This is the iconic bridge that you see in a lot of the photos and whatnot when you think of Big Sur. I remember when Teresa and I were on our honeymoon in Teton National Park, and we're driving through the park, and they've set up the roads. Obviously, these roads are set up the way they are because of the curves in the coastline, but they had set it up kind of in a similar way where you would drive kind of towards this beautiful vista of the mountains, and then you would turn away from it and go around, almost like just snake your way through, but every time you'd come around the bend, you would be faced through the trees with another beautiful view. So it was just beautiful view after beautiful view of the Teton mountain range. You've seen it 10 times already and you're still in awe of it. Awesome in the true sense of the word. I encourage anybody, car, motorcycle, whatever. Rollerblades, snowshoe.
Your mama's back. However you want to make
However you want to make that trip.
I'm just picturing some idiot on his mom's back.
Running down
while she's on rollerblades.
While she's on rollerblades. And he's wearing snowshoes. No, it's just a beautiful coastline. So, this isn't where we're necessarily going, but it's real close. And you were talking about architecture of houses and cool houses. There's some really cool houses in here.
But there's just some really neat, different architecture. Like, in terms of California, if I could afford a place to live, just based on place, here.
It makes me think of like Lord of the Rings.
Yeah, they're cottages more than houses.
I was looking at cottages, and I'm like, is that what a cottage is? But like, yeah, it's so cool.
I know, right? And there's
one house right there, underneath the biggest tree.
There's a couple of them where like the roofs, I don't know if we'll see them or not, but the roofs are like, they go like this. It's just interesting.
After a quick jaunt through the quaint town of Carmel by the sea, we dropped our gear off at the campsite and went in search of food before seeing the sights of 17 Mile Drive.
The plan was to go to the grocery store and get steaks, but when we got to Veterans...
Right, there were no fires allowed. The fire marshal had come through and said the fire danger was too high, so we couldn't actually grill because we couldn't build a fire, which was really disappointing because I had actually planned on that because Teresa and I, for our 6th anniversary, had gone to Monterey and camped at Veterans Memorial Park, and
Well, I'm glad it wasn't like your 6th anniversary, because that means you would have had to make sweet, sweet anniversary love to one of us. And, yeah.
There's not enough baby wipes in the world.
Not enough. Yeah, so you're saying I should do a rain dance so we can make a fire, so we can have steaks.
Yes. Yes. You can do this.
Sadly,
I believe you. We'll get it all on
sad irony is that I don't have the energy to do the rain dance because we haven't eaten.
We're going to get food. Right
Okay, we're gonna get a little bit of food so that I can do a rain dance, so that we can build a fire, so that we can have steaks. Meat. Take us places where they have meat. And so we were thinking about cutting to a scene where we end up in an all-male review. Not that kind of meat.
We went to dinner at the meat house.
The meat house, yeah.
They had a good buffet, right?
It was right next. It was a great buffet, right next to the Blue Oyster.
Lots of sausage.
Hey, look, disc golf.
Oh
Wow.
Do they have an Uncle Jesse?
I'm guessing not.
We could walk right over there from the Chinese
From
restaurant.
the Chinese restaurant?
If you had the plates. Or
I
we
didn't.
could take some
I do have the
from-
plates actually.
With you?
Yeah, they're in that. They're in my
We should
backpack.
go do another hole.
That's what we're gonna do. We're gonna hit.
We'll
we're
have
gonna
at least 9.
work our way up the coast, playing frisbee golf with plastic plates.
Well, I don't even know how to do it. Maybe we'll do a little better. Wind's looking all right. Probably do.
Fuzzy doesn't necessarily think that's a great idea. But I'll be your translator for you.
Said it was open.
They reopen at 4.
Come on in.
Thank you.
We open at 4, but we can have drain, appetizer first.
Okay.
Okay?
Thank you.
Chef will be back, but I can do some.
You got your computer, so perfect.
Yeah. We'll be able to.
This way for 4, right?
Yeah.
The Great Wall Chinese restaurant was nice enough to let us in early, allowing us to order a few appetizers, followed by dinner once the kitchen opened. This gave me a chance to upload and archive some footage. got to do some bouldering.
You had your Lucky Climbing Orphan shirt, and you went out there and you Tom Cruise the shit out of at a China rock.
So there's no tomato this time. He found a crab that he thought was out of place and had to rescue it.
How did your exploratory climb go?
Yeah, wait there until the tide comes in a little bit more.
Yeah, it's getting higher.
It is, and the waves are getting higher to you.
While they tried to catch shots of it, they left me out there while the tide came in.
Hey, we'll be back to pick you up at low tide.
And
there was some fear in his
I was
eyes
freaked
at
out
one
because
point.
going out, I almost slipped and fell because that moss or
seaweed or whatever was growing on the rock.
How'd you get over?
Huh?
How'd you get over?
Came across this way and
I
almost slipped on that patch.
Well, you better hurry before a bigger wave comes.
That's the rock I want.
That's now underwater.
It was really just slick, and I almost lost my shit out there going out.
Yeah.
So I knew what you guys wanted to get it on film in case I died to document it and maybe up the views.
Yeah, that's not a good idea to jump all the way there. You might want to go back the other way.
You're starting to understand why you're on this trip.
Right? Bring radio, he's high risk.
If I recall later, when we were getting the sunset picture, you looked down at the rock and you were like, is that the rock that I came off of? Because it was almost completely underwater.
There you go. So tides are real, people. Climate change, do something about it. Think globally, act locally.
So wait for this wave that's coming in to pass. You're gonna have to wait again because they're coming in sets. Get in position that you're ready. I'd go now. There's only little ones coming.
Hit that rock?
Yeah.
Apparently there were signs that
we didn't
told us not to boulder.
But
we weren't the only ones, says every person who gets in trouble. It wasn't just us, they were doing it
And honestly, none of us saw the signs until we came back later for the sunset.
It was a good moment. The sun was setting on one end and the moon was rising on the other. Perfect moment. And but out of your shot. So that took us to Veterans Memorial Park,
which is a really cool park with scary raccoons.
And they do have signs posted everywhere that says seal up your food because there's raccoons about. And Mike interpreted that as, oh, I'll just cover it up with this sheet
of plastic.
And guess what they did? They had some of my Cliff granola bars and some of everyone else's trail mix.
Yeah,
Pete swears he was attacked by aliens.
Alien cougar raccoon in the woods outside Veteran Memorial Park. That's all I'm saying. The second most scary thing that's ever happened to me in a tent. The scariest thing I don't even want to think about now because now I'm a little freaked out. I did have to hiss at one point though.
At the time when I originally got my first blackbird, the Hayabusa had just kind of made the scene. Like the blackbird was around for a bit, and then I was like all about it. But then the Hayabusa showed up, and I dug the look of it because it looks like it's poured. There's like no hard angles. It's smooth. And then I sat on one and hated it. It's the worst riding position, not a sport tour.
No.
It's all sport.
No, it is all get up and go.
Yeah, so I chose
honestly, I mean, I look at the Hayabusa as a cool looking bike. It's flashy, it's fun, but it's way more than you ever need to really. Nobody, unless you're a professional driver,
or
nobody who owns a Hayabusa is ever really going to push it to its limits.
A professional driver or an oft-times lawbreaker.
No, you'd have to be insane
to open
The thing that I learned is our friend used to work for the toll roads. If you're
you're going more than 80 miles an hour past the toll camera, when you enter, they can't take the picture. So they used to take their motorcycle over to test it. So you can go free on the toll road with your motorcycle if you just gun it super fast when you get on, because the picture it takes and you're already out of frame.
Nice. So that should work in a car too then, right?
You get really, really fast car.
Yeah. Prius won't do it?
Well, I don't think so.
Prius won't do it.
Prius will not.